Okay, sitting down to play one of my favorite games, Battlefield 3, for PlayStation 3. Now, some people can get a little frustrated with this game. I, on the other hand, have complete control of all my emotions and rarely get frustrated at something as simple as a video game.
We're going to play some old games instead.
I have my Nintendo right here. Oh, come right in. Come right in. Go ahead, come join us. DuckTales. Capcom game. You know, I always really did love this game. And the cartoon for that matter. There was something about it. Something about Scrooge and the boys, just trying to make money. And it obviously translated well into a video game, and what better developers than the people who brought us great games like Super Ghosts and Goblins and Mega Man. Why did I like this game so much? Is there any specific thing about it that made it so good?
I wish they would remake DuckTales. What the? No way! That's impossible! Oh my god!
Yes! You better believe it, Internet! As of August 13th, DuckTales has been re-released into our nostalgic hearts and minds in the form of DuckTales Remastered for way-forward technology. Hopefully most of you know what DuckTales was, the show or the game, but if not, here's a refresher. DuckTales was yet another Disney spin-off meant for the Disney Channel. In the show, we joined Scrooge McDuck, who is now watching Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald Duck's nephews, making Scrooge their second uncle? I'm not entirely sure. Every episode in the show, Scrooge, with the assistance of his maid Mrs. Beakley and inventor Gyro Gearloose, and of course the heroic yet stupid Launchpad McQuack, Scrooge would continue his goal in becoming the wealthiest duck in the universe. The show was incredibly popular and had over 100 episodes. In 1989, the team that created Mega Man for Capcom released DuckTales the game. Now today we are used to seeing terrible shovelware games based on TV shows or movies that are quick cash grabs. But this was motherfucking 90s Capcom! They had made Mega Man, Ghosts and Goblins, Street Fighter 1942, and much, much more. This game had to be great. Kaiji Inafune was designing the game, and he made Mega Man! The game was released to huge acclaim, selling millions of copies and actually becoming more successful than the first Mega Man game, which was released a few years before. There was a sequel in DuckTales 2, but by then the NES's lifespan was about over and they produced very few copies for it, but if you look on eBay, the cartridge is worth a lot of money, and it's still a pretty solid game. Fast forward to PAX East 2013, Capcom decides to have the biggest announcement of the event, DuckTales Remastered! DuckTales Remastered was not only happening, but it was coming soon. WayForward was developing the game with full support from Capcom. WayForward was probably one of the best options as well. They have spearheaded plenty of re-release projects like Shantae, Boy and His Blob, and Contra. And beyond that, they seemed capable of making their own great games like Mighty Switch Force. How true could they stay? Would they make it too easy? Would DuckTales remind us how stupidly simple gaming has become? Well, yeah. And no. And yeah? What were the questions again? DuckTales Remastered is just as difficult as the original for NES was, but I never actually thought it was that hard to begin with. Many reviewers, not naming any names, but I'll show pictures of names. There. And there. Somewhere else. Shot DuckTales Remastered down because it seemed WayForward tried too hard to replicate the NES difficulty. Enemies respawn after you kill them, cheap deaths, and difficult to master controls. I feel it's fine to redo this stuff as it was a staple in classic gaming. As for difficult controls, I found them pretty easy, if not too easy. WayForward gave an option to just hold down the cane button to continue jumping with it. There was also an option to play it the original way. I was able to play through the entire game and only get 2 game overs. I beat the game in about 2 hours, so if I should be frustrated with anything, it should be the fact that I beat it so quickly. $15 for a short trip through Nostalgia Town? For some, this may be worth it, but the game only seems to have a market for those with a connection to the source material, whether that be the game or the television show. Although I can't blame WayForward because this game is a carbon copy, with the exception of a few things. The game has the 5 original stages plus a tutorial stage and the main hub where you can access Scrooge's vault and unlockables. Each stage has some mission objectives, hidden gems, and boss fights. Traversing the stages is pretty easy, especially because there is now a map that gives you a good idea of where you're supposed to go. The secret areas from the original game are no longer secret, as most of the time that's where you need to get the mission items. Boss fights are much more fun in Remastered, but are really easy as it's the classic 3 attacks, look for a chance to jump, rinse, and repeat 5 times. Nothing wrong with it, it just seems more formulaic than we are used to. There is now a story to DuckTales Remastered, which the extra padding does make sense to elongate the game, but one of the most wonderful things about the NES original was using your imagination to figure out why Scrooge McDuck would be going to the moon, or Transylvania, or the African mines. I don't know. Even though the explanations are unnecessary, WayForward does it right by getting all the original voice actors to read every line of dialogue.
Hi, lads. This is the place. I can feel all those diamonds singing to me. And it's a right pretty song, too.
Genius! Beyond voice acting, another element that draws the comparison between the game and the show are the gorgeous hand-drawn characters. Every little detail looks so good, and the animations for Scrooge himself are superb. The worst part about the graphic style of the game would have to be the stark contrast of the beautiful hand-drawn characters and the jarring 3D backgrounds. Something about these two put together is very unsettling and takes away from the wonder the hand-drawn look would have maintained alone. Just like the art, the voice acting and story has cons as well. Some dialogue is incredibly lame and cheesy, or sometimes just gets in your way. A great example of it getting in your way is in the Amazon, where every few minutes you find a coin and Scrooge must stop and comment on them. And to skip, you have to pause, hit skip, then it loads. In the time it takes you, you might as well wait it out. The random breaks in action in the result of dialogue is really unfortunate, especially when you get into a groove with your platforming. The cinematics also bring an issue in restarting a level. In the original DuckTales, when you lost your 3 lives, you had to start the level from the beginning, or you could go back to the main hub world. In Remastered, you are taken back to the mansion and you must reselect your level and watch every cutscene. Unless you skip them, of course. This may seem like nitpicking, but when dealing with difficult platformers where failure is expected, the time in between attempts is very important. If you give the player too much time to reconsider playing your game, chances are they'll just quit and play something else, something easier. Super Meat Boy is one of the best examples of this, where respawning is literally instant, causing the feeling of just one more try. This feeling is lost in Remastered. Beyond this, it is still the same true DuckTales. Tight controls, beautiful levels, amazing music tracks that may sound better than ever, but if for some reason you hate the change, you can set the soundtrack to play the original 8-bit tunes. With your gold, you can unlock different forms of art, from character design and sprites to promotions about the old television show. There is a lot to unlock here. While some may like the idea of collecting gold for behind-the-scenes unlockables, the original game did it right, where collecting enough gold was necessary to get the true ending, forcing people to replay it if they didn't. It may not have aged the best, but I didn't have nearly as tough a time with it as other reviewers. That may be because I am, and always have been, a huge fan of difficult platformers. I truly enjoyed WayForward's take on this beloved game, and let's wait and see if we can get a remake of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Or a new Mega Man game. Or another Ghosts and Goblins game? Or a decent Resident Evil game? Get your shit together, Capcom. Please? Thanks for watching this review, guys. It was a whole heck of a lot of fun. If you enjoyed it, please check out some of my other videos, but more importantly, check out some videos my friends have done. Dean Cuddy did a really cool review, Mathis Games did a really cool review, and one of my best buddy Bears does his Barely Played series, which is a really good series of reviews, so you should check out all those videos. Right now.
What? How did you get turned? That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. You fucking camera. You got a goddamn mind of your own. You stay pointed where I point you. Do you fucking hear me? Good.